Notice what you're aware of as we begin this morning yoga class. Rest your awareness into your body. Now come back out and notice the skin of your body, the temperature in your space. The way the clothes drape over you. And then feel in just below the skin. The skin attaches to our superficial fascia. See if you can feel just below the skin. And allow your attention to be drawn deeper along the lines of fascia. Notice what you sense in the muscles, in the tissue. If you sense stiffness or tightness in some tissue, see if you can ease these areas. And then come back to the skull and come in towards the skull bone, coming down around the neck. Feel for the space around the bones, between the skull and each vertebrae of the neck. Notice where the tissue might feel tight between skull and neck, or neck and shoulders. And see if you can fine-tune gentle movements to create space around these floating bones. Fluid, deep, long, smooth breaths. As you release tissue and float the bones. Draw your attention down across the shoulder girdle, deep into the bones, and down the arms into the hands. Is there a way to relax the arms or stretch the hands? Relax the hands to create more space around the bones. remember that we're each about 70% water. Let the fluid, smooth, deep, and even breaths rock the waters of your body. And feel for the ribs on each side expanding away from each other. And inside the rib cage, feel deeper to the expanding lung tissue. See if you can breathe deep into the base of the lungs. Relaxing on the exhales so the bones of the rib cage and vertebrae can float. Expanding on the inhales to stretch the tissue, to open the myofascial matrix so the bones can float. Feel for the movement of the diaphragm. As you inhale, it balloons down into the abdomen and low back. As you exhale, it mushrooms up under the lungs. One of the most important muscles of the body. Feel how the movement of the diaphragm may stretch the low back, ripple through the abdomen, and imagine as you breathe, you're breathing space around the lumbar vertebrae. Your inhales are plumping the discs between the vertebrae of the low back. And breathe deep into the pelvic bowl, massaging the muscles that line the pelvis, the iliacus and the psoas. Invite these muscles to relax against the bones. And visualize even your pelvis gently expanding with the inhale and relaxing with the exhale. Remembering, relaxing the tissue may get us farther than physical active stretching. Bring your awareness to the outside of the hip bones, relaxing the muscle tissue that connects to the outside of the ilium, bones, and the sacrum. Relax the tissue around your sit bones and down the legs. Notice how if you shift your pelvis slightly, you may allow for release and cause activation in different parts of the pelvis. Explore that, just gently rocking the pelvis. Inviting the legs to relax as you explore. Breathe space around the head of the femur bone. Relax around the outer hips. Breathe space into the knee, the knees, into the ankles, around the bones of the feet. And from the hands and feet, trace back into the center channel of your body. And one more time, invite each vertebrae to lift off the one beneath it. Invite your head to float skyward like a helium balloon, trailing a string of beads. And let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we find space inside the body today and deep relaxation. Namaste. Okay, let's come to standing. And let's gently sway side to side. And now as we come into motion, look for a release of the tissue, a floating of the bones. And really feel into your hands, letting each hand bone float away from the one above it. Breathe and ease into your wrists. You don't have to move too hard or fast. Breathe up into the elbows, releasing the elbows. Releasing tension in the forearms. And up into the shoulders. And then feel for the vertebrae sliding side to side. Let your spine really undulate side to side. Maybe the shoulder lifts so you get a little bit more of a side bend into the body. Space around the vertebrae. And then invite one shoulder to lift and roll as you rock side to side. Feel into the movement of the shoulder blade over the rib cage. Let the arms still dangle, finding space around the bones. And if you'd like, take an elbow up and gently swing it inside the fascial web. Lifting the humerus bone out and away from the shoulder girdle. And maybe the hand stretches out, and we're looking for space today. So explore range of motion for where you feel the most space inside the shoulder. And then bring both hands back behind you, palms facing forward or even slightly out to the side, thumbs out. And inhale, lift to the sternum. A lift to the base of the skull. And breathe deep into the circumference of your rib cage. And then gently come to a wall, lifting your fingers up the wall and wide. Slowly lower your heels. And find space between the femur bones and the pelvis, between each vertebrae. And when your heels get to the floor, lift up again and start again, looking for releasing the pelvis away from the shoulder girdle, tractioning the spine. And let your hands float down the wall to shoulder height and inhale. Lengthen the spine, roll over an imaginary bolster behind you. Someone tractioning, holding your head, tractioning the base, the length of the neck. Ground down from your pelvis into your feet. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Let the inhales lift your heart. And then release back to standing. Place one hip against the wall, feet out a foot from the wall, maybe a little farther. Stretch the arm on the wall up, palm facing in. Press down on the inside hip. Keep lifting through the crown. Some of you may side bend off the wall. If you have osteoporosis, remember you're looking for space between the vertebrae. If you don't, it's okay to have the bones come a little closer to each other. And then exhale back up and release your arm and feel into your myofascial matrix. Notice how you can create space and change the tensegrity of the body through one stretch. And take it to the other side. Lifting up the wall, feet away from the wall, hip on the wall. Lengthen your side body first. Take time for finding the length. Rooting the feet, lifting through the crown, lengthening the neck. And then side bend. Keep lengthening both sides. Breathe into the side against the wall. Fluid breath. And float back up, back against the wall, fingernails on the wall. Thumbs out, lean away from the wall, lifting your heart. Release your collar, lengthen the neck out of the shoulder girdle. Breathe into the full circumference of the torso. Root the tailbone, lengthen the back of the spine. Breathe in openness into the chest, floating of the bones. into the wall. You may need to step your feet forward. Bring the whole length of your humerus bone of your upper arm into the wall. Press back, widen across your shoulder girdle and lengthen the neck. Shoulder blades released back, arm bones released back, press back. Make sure you're not locking your knees or gripping with your toes. Root the four corners of your feet. Lengthen the spine inside the fabric of the body. And come off the wall. And take your left hand across the body. Hold it in your right wrist and pull gently to the right as you resist back with the left and roll the arm down your chest. Breathe in and feel where the tissue's stretching. Notice that it is pulling on bones, and in doing so, it helps you build bone strength. Let your gaze look out over the left shoulder. Gentle stretch to the neck, and then look out over the right shoulder, and the left, and the right. And back to center, release the left arm. Feel your back body. Notice the change in the quality of the tissue. And then take your right arm across, pull it with the left hand, draw it into your chest and roll it down towards the floor. Notice if one side has more tension than the other. Look out over your right shoulder and then across to your left. And look right and look left and look right and come back to center and release. And let your arms just swing at your sides. Bend your knees towards Utkatasana. Just let the arms swing, really release each finger bone, each palm bone, each forearm bone. Release your humerus bones. And swing the arms up, interlace the fingers, bring the thumbs to the base of the skull, wrap the elbows forward and lift the elbows, lift the thumbs, stretch the spine. Rest your head back with a long neck, relaxing the collar. And again, come into that deep awareness around your bones and float vertebrae away from vertebrae. Even let the bones of your feet float open. And if you'd like, keeping the neck strong, unfurl the arms. Stretch and then relax, stretch and then relax in the posture. And exhale, hands to the heart. Release into mountain pose. Fluid breath. Reach for your yoga strap. And take it behind your back, palms back. Bend your knees and slowly bring your belly down onto your femur bones. And perhaps your hands lift up, knuckles towards the sky. Can be as wide as you need to be on the strap. Release the shoulders away from your ears. Some of you will be able to lift your sit bones towards an Uttanasana. Keep your belly on your femurs. And maybe the arms come a little farther overhead. Fluid breath into the opening body, into the stretching tissue, into the water of who you are. Float the bones. It's a different sensation as you float the pelvis away from the lumbar vertebrae. And then exhale, hands back down towards the pelvis and unhinge. Bring the strap to the front of the body. Inhale the strap up overhead and take the arms behind you just a little bit, lifting the heart, stretching across the front chest. There's still space around the bones of the knee, bones of the feet, the vertebrae. You may have to activate the tailbone a little to get space around the vertebrae. You can stay with this, or if you have the openness, bring the hands down behind you. Float the arms back up and over. Fluid breath. If you're unable to do this exercise, you can just breathe into space around the bones. Fluid breath, pausing wherever the stretch feels right to you. Maybe you turn your head one direction and the other. And then let's release the strap and come to sitting on the chair. Let's bring in our yoga therapy ball as we sit on the chair today. And let's open around the sit bones. So you'll bring the therapy ball in under one sit bone. And just gently roll the therapy bone around the circumference of your sit bone. Releasing tightness attached to the hamstrings. Gently rolling over those tendons, not too hard. You may hold on to the arms of your chair as you roll around the sit bones. Do one side first. And then let's stop and compare side to side, just that little short period of time. What's happened in the body? And take it to the other side. I sometimes take a yoga therapy ball with me in the car and I put it under my hamstrings. And I just rock it and move it up and down a little bit while I'm driving. You have that, you have the Gertie ball between your shoulder blades. You're doing yoga while you drive. Fluid breath. It's funny what tissue we don't give as much attention to, isn't it? And then we do, and it's like, wow, I didn't even know I had that tension in that part of my body. Okay, come off your therapy ball. Onto your comfortable seat. Let one hand rest inside the other, thumbs touching. Come back to that long, slow, deep, even, and smooth breath. And feel for yourself expanding from the inside. Relax. As you breathe, release tension around the eyes and in the jaw, at the root of the tongue. See if there's any tension to release around the heart center. Relax the shoulders. And then release the right hand, holding on to the side of the chair. Lean the left ear to the left. Relax the left ear towards the floor. Now again, if you have osteoporosis, remember you're thinking of floating the bones of the neck away from each other as you lean. Maybe in this position you feel good nodding the head yes. Feel how the myofascial tissue is pulling on specific bones, maybe in your arm bone, your shoulder, maybe up at the base of the skull, or along the bones of the neck. Let your head turn to look out over the left shoulder and nod again. Remembering that every time muscle tissue, connective tissue pulls on the bone, it reminds the bone to stay strong. So all the different angles of these bones, we want them to be reminded, stay strong, I'm still using you, I need you. Coming back to neutral, float back up. Pause with your fluid breath. And as you're ready, hold on to the left side of the chair, lean right. Lengthen through your crown. Feel how you can create space in the fabric as you bring your right ear over. You may rock forward to back a little to find where the stretch is best for you today. And then nod yes. Notice which bones are receiving the pull. Notice which myofascial tissue is getting the stretch. I see you, I feel you. And then if you like, look over the right shoulder, nodding yes, still. And come back to center. Three-dimensional breath. Floating the head, floating the bones of the neck. Now turn your head to the right and take the nose down towards your belly button and up to the left like you're drawing a smile. Take it down towards your belly button and up to the right. And do this nicely and slowly so you can feel where the tissue is pulling on the bone. Notice any asymmetry in your body. I see you, I feel you. We're working towards symmetry. And come back to center and draw a small circle with your nose. And let it get a little larger and a little larger. In doing this work, we're releasing the suboccipitals between the neck and the skull. This is very important because so many of us carry our heads forward and these muscles between the base of the neck, the base of the skull and the neck are tight. These muscles also interact with the eyes and they have a relationship with the eyes so that when the eyes move, they should follow. We want them open before we do twists so that the eyes can guide the head, can guide the spine. Come back to neutral. Relax the shoulders, float the skull. And begin your circles the other way. Start small. Don't be in a rush to get larger. Feel the changes in the tissue as the size of the circle changes. And come back to center. Let's turn our legs to the right and inhale our hands to the heart. Find a way to ground into your feet and your seat, and inhale, grow taller. And exhale, let your head turn first, and your shoulders follow, and the rest of your spine. Bring the back of the right hand against the left knee, open the left arm behind you. Relax the collar. Breathe into the whole myofascial web of your chest, your rib cage, your back. Feel where the tissue pulls on the bones. Feel for where you'd like more space. Fine-tune the pose towards space. And exhale the hands back to the heart. And walk the legs around to the left. And inhale, lengthen. Exhale, beginning with the head, slowly turn the spine. Let each vertebrae follow into the turn. Back with the left hand against the knee, right arm opens, palm up. Relax your bones inside the matrix, and inhale, float the bones. Let your eyes looking out the far corners be part of the twist. Can you relax the shoulder girdle? And release back around. Bring the legs forward and cross. You may want your blocks. Cross the right leg over the left. Just sitting cross-legged with the sit bones close to the front of the chair. Inhale, grow taller. And exhale, fold forward. Feel your abdomen rest onto your femur bones. Some of you may keep your hands on the seat of the chair, lengthening your spine through the crown, not shortening the back of the neck. Some of you may be able to reach your blocks with your hands. Breathe into the tissue of the body. Breathe deep into the abdomen and the low back. Feel how you've put restriction on the blood and lymph flow in the groins. Pressure builds when we do this, so that when we sit upright again, the lymph flows with more strength, and so does the blood. Breathe deep into the low back. Relax tissue that may be overly tight around the back of the vertebrae. Feel the pressure in the intestines. And float back up to sitting. You can stay with that one, or you can take the knee open, the ankle onto the femur, flexing with the right foot. Inhale, grow taller. Exhale, lean forward, hinging from the hip, keeping a nice long neck, not dropping the head forward. Keeping a nice long spine of the rib cage, not cat curling the spine. Breathe deep into the joint of the hip. And think of gently tractioning the femur bone out of the hip, creating space around the head and neck of the femur bone. Maintaining space between the lumbar vertebrae. And don't be afraid to move. Gently swing the spine back and forth to look for how you can rock the fascial tissue open. Some of you may have the flexibility to come down to your blocks. Don't force that. Explore the tissue in a way the tissue can continue to open around the bones. Fluid, long, slow, deep, and even breaths. Letting the tissue know, I see you, I feel you. Wanting you to feel comfortable and open and spacious. And the beauty of a stretch is the muscle tissue is pulling on the bone. Float back up and release the right leg. Let the head float away from the pelvis. And cross the left leg over the right. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, hinge forward, resting your abdomen on the legs. Hands on the chair, fingertips on the blocks, palms on the blocks, whatever works for you. Inhale deep into the belly. Deep into the side waists. Deep into the low back. Now in this one, your spine does rainbow forward a little bit, but try to keep the head in general in line with the heart in the rainbow shape so we're not collapsing. But we're lengthening even as we release the abdomen onto the legs. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. We stretch the fascia from the inside. And then we float back up and open the leg if we like to, or do the same pose again. Flexing the left foot, we inhale tall, we exhale hinge from the hips. We continue to inhale vertebrae off vertebrae, even as we breathe into opening the hips. And we pay attention. If there's pain and the body grips back, we come a little out of the stretch we're in. We still look for space around the vertebrae of the neck, around the collar. We may rock gently side to side or circle the spine like we're drawing a tiny circle with the fontanelle, the crown of the head. All as we look for space, balance, and harmony in the myofascial web. Fluid breath. And we float back up. And release the right or left leg and pause in our seat. Feel for space inside. Which bones can float now? Now let's take the legs wide, sit bones at the front of the chair, and hinge the pelvis forward, bringing the blocks up front, a little wider than the shoulders. If we can, we stretch the blocks forward and wrap our fingers over them. If that's too much in the spine, maybe we find a coffee table or something that's a little higher that can help us stretch the spine out of the pelvis. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. How even here can we float the bones, maybe rock the spine at the shoulders, looking for freedom in the lumbar vertebrae, in the rib cage. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. And then float yourselves back up to seated, floating the skull away from the pelvis. Okay, let's gently bring ourselves down to the floor now. Please have your yoga strap, your yoga therapy ball, sandbags if you have them, and your bolster. And let's begin this work laying on our bolster with a block under our forehead. Our low ribs at the top of the bolster, but supported by it. Our forehead on the block. We'll roll across the eyebrows, back and forth. Releasing tension, even here in the myofascial matrix. Perhaps rolling up towards the hairline and rolling back down towards the eyebrows. Inviting any tension we find to release. Now see if as you rock the head back and forth, you can nod the tailbone into the bolster, the pubic bone into the bolster, and then reach the tailbone for the sky and rock your pelvis as you rock your head. Part of what we can try to do in our practices is try new movements together so that our brain continues to work with our body in new and different ways. If we know ourselves better, we're more likely to be able to catch ourselves if we trip on something. Now, coming back to neutral, and bring your palms underneath your shoulders. Float the palms up towards your shoulders, shoulder blades strong on the back, and float your feet off the floor. Lengthen out through the feet. Spread your toes wide. Spread the bones of the feet wide. Lengthen the leg bones away from the hips as you root the pubic bone, and float the head off the block, floating the heart up. Don't try to come into your most active Salabhasana. Lengthen from crown to heels. Lengthen from big toe ball mound across to pinky toe ball mounds. Spread your fingers. Breathe space around the bones. Fluid, three-dimensional breath into the abdomen to activate digestion. Relax the feet to the floor, the palms under the shoulders. Isometrically draw back and roll up into your cobra. Take whatever cobra feels right to you. Just make sure there's still space around the neck, across the shoulders. And as you're ready, isometrically pulling back with the hands, roll yourself back down into cobra. Bring the hands back by your hips, palms down, and float into your Salabhasana. Strengthening the back body will give us more freedom in the front body. And release your hands back, forearms onto the floor, elbows under shoulders, head to the block, and bend one knee and let that heel bounce towards the buttocks. You may stay with this. Some of you may be able to lean a little towards the opposite side onto that forearm so you can bring the hand of the bent leg around and hug the foot towards the buttock, reaching out through the knee and the crown. A nice stretch, the front quads, fluid breath. And if you can't quite reach, you could use your circle TheraBand to reach for the foot. Or you could just stay with bouncing the heel towards the knee. That may be enough. Now release the bent leg. Relax long, root your pubic bone and bounce the other heel towards the buttock. Three-dimensional breath. If you'd like to, get ready to reach your hand around towards the foot, lengthen through the knee and the crown. Fluid breath. Really taking our time to stretch the myofascial matrix today. Feel where the stretching muscle pulls on bone. Pulls through the webbing of the fascial tissue. And release. And roll up off the bolster. And take it out of your way. And come down to lying on the floor with your head on your pillow if you like. And bring in your yoga therapy ball. And bring it under one glute. And roll back and forth across the glute. Glutes. Multiple. So their gluteus maximus is on the top of all these muscles. And then inside the ilium bone, underneath the maximus, is the medius. Beneath the medius, the minus. And inside the hip, we have the deep six muscles. You may rock across from sacrum towards greater trochanter, that knobby point on the outer hip. And you may find some of these deep six muscles. Feel for releasing tension. Some of these muscles, well, I know of one. I think it's the gluteus maximus doesn't even connect to bone. It connects to the other muscles beneath it, fascially. So it is connected, but not individually. Now, if you're ready, you can switch sides. Fluid breath, expansive breath, relaxing breath. Releasing breath. And as you're ready, release that work. Moving the therapy ball out of your way. Bring the yoga strap in, up and over your left foot. Coming into neutral spine. Pendulum the left foot. Now as you pendulum the foot, think of that head of the femur bone rocking easily inside the pelvis. The fascial tensions on the moving joints, allowing for smooth and even movement. Try to maintain your lumbar curve, working the femur bone inside the hip joint. And then bring the foot up, hold the strap in your left hand, open the right arm out, and open the left leg, just partially out to the side, keeping your right foot grounded, and come back in. And open the left leg and float it back in. And think of some hot air balloon having your leg so that when it comes skyward, it's tractioned a little bit out of the pelvis. There's space around the head of the arm bone. The head of the femur bone. The arm bone too, as it moves with the leg. Now, if you'd like to, lengthen the right leg on the mat, spread your limbs out, especially the right side of the body. Spread the right side of the body to the right as you take the left leg open. Now you can put a block underneath your foot if you want to land on something, or you can put it under your knee or your thigh. You could also land your leg on a couch or against a wall, only open as far as feels right in your body. And then take deep inhales into the pelvic bowl. Relax the limbs out away from the center channel. You release into the hug of gravity. Stretch the myofascial webbing. And on your next exhale, blow out through the straw. Lift the left leg back to center. Switch hands with the strap. Bring the left hand to the femur bone and press it down away from your torso. So you're really pressing the femur bone. You may lift the left hip and walk it a little down the mat so you have space between the pelvis and the lumbar spine. You may feel a tractioning of the lumbar spine. Pressing the left femur down the mat, take the left foot across to the right without lifting the left pelvis off the floor. And notice if you get a stretch in the back of your leg or along the edge of your leg, back of the knee, the calf, even across the sole of the foot. Feel for how the myofascial webbing is opening. You feel the stretch deep in the hip. You may rock the foot a little bit. You may move the leg to kind of stretch the fascia in different directions. And then you can open up into a full twist if that's right for your body. Resting the foot onto a bolster if you like, or onto the floor, onto a block, piece of furniture. Then roll the left hip down the mat towards the foot of the mat. See if there's more stretch to be found in the hip. You may even reach the inner thigh of the left leg down the mat, and then the sit bone. Play a little with the stretch. Breathe deeply into the rib cage. Invite space between the vertebrae. If there isn't space, you may want to prop the leg up a little more if you have osteoporosis. There was a research study done, I talked about in the bone workshop, where 741 people did yoga. They were aged 65 and maybe the average age was 68. It was something like that. They did yoga for 12 minutes a day, a specific series for 10 years. They did bone density scans on each end, and they had developed more bone density at the end of that 10 years. The poses they did were a lot of twists and side bends. They were looking particularly at the hip and the vertebrae. So that was people who had lost bone density, so who had had osteopenia but not porosis. Porosis, the fear is that we might collapse and microfracture the vertebrae if we twist and force bone into bone. Bring the left hand over to the strap, float the left leg up towards the sky, bend the left knee in towards the left armpit. Pause in your half-happy baby. Some of you will be able to release the strap and hold the foot with your hand. You can stay here in half-happy baby, reaching the right leg down the mat, drawing the knee in towards the mat beside the armpit, or you can open the left leg, straightening it to the left side of the head. Remember, we're looking for creating space in the myofascial web, so you should be able to draw the left sit bone down the mat. Look for space between the vertebrae, between the arm bones. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. And then draw the left leg back into happy baby. Release the left leg down the mat beside the right leg. Rest the arms, palms up, and feel into your myofascial matrix. Notice how the bones side to side might be floating very differently now. Give yourself time to notice. This is the practice of Pratyahara. Turning the senses inward to know the inner landscape. And as you're ready, step both heels in. Aligning the heels with the sit bones, bring your strap up over the right foot this time. And as you're ready, pendulum the right leg. Remember, we don't want to take the pelvis for the ride, so your pendulum may be low to the floor, because what we're doing is we're teaching the femur bone to move independently in the hip socket, and we want to make sure this happens because we're less likely to have low back injury if the pelvis doesn't follow the foot. We want the femur bone to have some freedom inside the hip. Neutral lumbar curve, working for freedom of motion. And sometimes that doesn't feel as hard as, say, yoga or warrior pose, but it may be more healthy for the body. And then bring the foot up to where it's comfortable. Take the strap in the right hand, and as you're ready, opening the left side body, grounding it, open the right leg out to the right, just partially, and then come back to center. See if you can ground left as you open right. Grounding the left shoulder, pelvis, and foot. Even the low left ribs may anchor back, even though they may not be touching the ground. And each time the leg moves back up towards the sky, let the hot air balloon pick it up out of the pelvis. And one more. And then if you'd like to lengthen the left leg on the ground, do so, and open the right leg out to the right. Ground and expand the left side body to the left. You can land the right leg on a bolster or on a block. From the pelvis, expand out through the legs, spread the toes, expand out through the bones of the feet. From the pelvis, extend up the spine through the crown, from the heart center out the arms. Let your bones rest into the hug of gravity with space around them. Three-dimensional, smooth, even, fluid, and slow breath. As you're ready, exhale back to center. Take the strap in the left hand, right hand to the hip crease. Press the right femur down the mat. You may even pick up the right hip and walk it down the mat. As you're ready, take the right foot across to the left. Notice where you feel stretch and pull. Maybe you rock the foot, keeping the pelvis on the floor, rocking the foot, heel towards toe a little bit to see if you find more stretch. Maybe you circle the foot, you draw a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball with the foot. Maybe you release the sit bone down towards the foot of the mat. Deep, fluid, even, smooth, and slow breath. You may slowly open into your twist. Remember here, you can still traction the pelvis away from the shoulder girdle and look for space between the vertebrae. As you create space between the vertebrae, the tiny muscles that weave the spine together get a little stretch. They pull on the bones. And we've gone in many different directions today, pulling on the bones, creating space, inviting the bones to see that we're still using them. We need them to stay strong. Three-dimensional breath, stretching from the inside. Bringing the right arm over to the strap, lift the right leg back to center, bend the right knee in towards the right armpit. Some of you will release the strap. Stretch the left leg out of the pelvis. Open across the shoulders, lengthen through the crown. Breathe. Breathe open this whole matrix of the body as perhaps you open the right leg out to the right side of the ear. Don't go where your body doesn't feel comfortable in the stretch. Visualize your bones floating away from each other. And as you're ready, draw back in with happy baby. And float your right foot to the floor. Draw your left foot in. And pause in constructive rest. Gently nod tailbone towards earth, tailbone towards sky. Fluid motion with fluid breath. Now reach for one of your yoga blocks and place it between your knees. Press the knees into the yoga block, and now we've done all this hip opening work, so the femur bones should move more easily to take the ilium bones apart at the pelvis. Pressing the knees into the block, feel for spaciousness in the pelvis. Fluid breath, even as you work the knees into the block, stretching the pelvis. Now release, take the block in your hands and float one leg to tabletop, the other to follow, and place the block between your knees again. Press the knees towards each other. Feel how the femur bones spread the pelvis. Fluid breath. Relaxing the shoulders, the eyes, the jaw, the root of the tongue. And release the block. Draw the knees in towards your chest, circle them wide apart and back together again. Circling, opening the hips. Take the circles the other direction. Fluid breath. It's okay here if the pelvis rocks with the movement of the legs. Hug both knees in towards the chest. Breathe into the low back. And now rock the pelvis a little side to side. Let the knees rock. Keeping them hugged in towards the chest. Coming back to neutral, circle the knees together. Feel the perimeter of the sacrum. Take the circles the other way. Notice if there's more of a spaciousness even to the sacrum now. And float one foot lightly to the floor and then the other. Lengthen the legs out on the mat. And bring yourself into as much symmetry as you can, lying on the mat. Feet can be open towards each corner of the mat. Shoulders broad. And gently, just enough to clear the leg off the mat, lift the right leg and lengthen the bones out in the fascial matrix and set the leg down again. Now feel for the difference between right and left. Now gently float the left leg up, stretch the bones out, even the foot bones, and set the left leg back down again. Relax the legs, let them turn out towards the pinky toes. Breathe space around the bones of the legs. Take your arms out to a T and float the left arm and stretch it away from the rib cage, away from the spine, and set it down. Feel the difference side to side. And now float the right arm, stretch it out to the right. Set it down. And breathe into the heart center. Let the ribs relax on the exhale. Fluid breath. Let the bones all float wide open. Now very gently lift the head, chin tucking a little towards sternum. Lengthen out through the crown, away from the shoulder girdle. Nose nods towards mouth and set the head down again. Let the gaze lift towards perpendicular with the floor. Squeeze space between the cervical vertebrae of the spine. Of the neck. Now gently press the head back into the floor. Feel the muscles of the neck and skull activate and relax. Let the bones float. Make fists with the hands and squish up the feet. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then relax, open. Let bones all sink into the hug of gravity. Including the jawbone, let it relax away from the upper jaw. Now gently walk your arms and your feet in towards center. Pause for a breath, thinking of which restorative pose sounds best to you to close this practice. And as you're ready, gently gather your props and come into that pose. You may want to just stay in that simple shavasana, that's fine too. Invite yourselves to both rest into the hug of gravity and float between earth and sky. the palms and the feet. And let the energy move into the legs and the arms. The pelvis and the spine. And taking your time, staying tuned into the body, bring yourself slowly up to a comfortable seat. And when you arrive, let the head float skyward, carrying the beaded necklace of the spine, dangling down. Fluid, smooth, even, deep, three-dimensional breaths. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we float into the rest of our day, relaxed and spacious, ready for whatever comes. Namaste. And thank you for your practice.